Hi, I'm speaking to you today from Biola's new rooftop Riadi Gardens. It's a unique and new space on campus, part of the Talbot East building we dedicated just a few months ago. The thoughtful planning of public space for rest, prayer, fellowship, or study has taken on a renewed priority during this year's interdisciplinary focus on sanctuary and sacred space. Biola's Year of the Arts reached a climax earlier this month with the 7th Annual Art Symposium, a 4-day on-campus gathering of artists from across the world. It featured stimulating lectures and discussions from the likes of Nicholas Waltersdorf and Roberta Amundsen, futurist Joel Kotkin, and King's College London professor Ben Quash. Other highlights included Compline chants from the Norbertine Fathers at St. Michael's Abbey. There's a stunning night of song and dance with Kansas City's Sterling Dance Theater and renowned jazz vocalist Ruth Naomi Floyd, and a stirring arts and worship service to conclude the weekend. It was an amazing weekend of arts. Visionary in residence Roberta Amundsen delivered a profound lunch address to a capacity audience of Biola faculty and guests on the virtue of beauty and the role of sacred space in architecture and civic planning. The following weekend, my son Anders and I, he's a freshman at Biola, we were part of a panel responding to the artistic and Christian themes in the film The Tree of Life. In addition to the Art Symposium, Biola hosted 2 other major conferences in March. First was our 83rd Annual Missions Conference, again this year entirely student-run. This year's theme was Consume, and for 3 days, students were released from classes to attend speaker sessions and workshops and worship where their attention was focused on God, a consuming fire, as we hear from Hebrews chapter 12. I sat in the opening session deeply moved by the spiritual zeal of their desire, thousands of them, to rise up and be bright lights to the lost and broken of our world. On March 23rd and 24th, the Israel Church and Middle East Crisis Conference brought more than 1,400 people to campus to better understand the complexities of the current Middle East conflict from a biblical perspective. Featured speakers like Dr. Mitch Glaser and New York Times bestselling author Joel Rosenberg, and my former boss and dear friend Dr. Walt Kaiser. This conference was a great opportunity for Biola to host a critical discussion of the latest developments in the Middle East conflict and their implications for the wider world. I had the privilege of attending the annual Los Angeles Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, in which I was honored to offer a prayer for LAPD Chief Charlie Beck and LA County Sheriff Lee Baca, and the men and women who protect and serve our communities. A number of local La Mirada officers joined our tables with Biola's own campus safety officers and some Biola administrators. This month, we also had an amazing moment when we hosted 600 grandparents for Biola's 4th Annual Grandparents' Day. I loved watching these grandfathers and grandmothers join their granddaughters and grandsons. They had breakfast in the cafeteria. They walked together to class. The grandparents were enjoying these wonderful tours of the campus on these golf carts, and it was very moving for all of us to see what it's like for these families to be together, separated by a generation, but the proud students of what their grandparents have done to invest in their lives. It was absolutely amazing. And to know that these Christ-honoring grandparents, some of whom are Biola alumni themselves, cared enough to come out for these students, and 600 strong in only our 4th Annual Grandparents' Day. Absolutely moving, touching, amazing. What a pleasure to see these lives woven into the legacy of these faithful families. The month of March is also National Women's History Month, when we as a community can celebrate the vital and important contributions and accomplishments of women. Biola's theme for Women's History Month this year was Courage and Calling. During Women's History Month, we presented the Ruby Awards to female faculty, staff, and students, alumni who have been nominated by their peers. Dr. Katie Tuttle is the 2012 recipient of the Priscilla Ruby Award for Teaching and Mentoring. Alumna Dr. Jane Anderson, a professor of pediatrics at University of California, San Francisco, received the Deborah Ruby Award for Leadership and Wisdom. And Karen Dirks was honored with the Esther Ruby Award for Obedience and Servanthood. College affordability remains a critical issue on both the federal and state legislative agendas, as well as for Biola. For this reason, we sent 26 students to our state capital in Sacramento this month to represent Biola's 834 Cal Grant recipients for Lobby Day. They met with California's leaders in the state assembly and legislature to lobby for the protection of this much-needed financial aid program that helps California students pay for tuition at independent universities like Biola. As you may have heard, two within our community have been called to new levels of leadership. Dr. Pete Manjares will become president of Fresno Pacific University. Dr. John Mark Reynolds will move to Houston Baptist University as their new provost. We're going to miss these two colleagues who have been such an integral part of our community for many years, but know that God has plans for them that will undoubtedly serve His kingdom in new and far-reaching ways. Our athletic teams have had a very successful month of March. Indoor track and field finished 10th at the NAIA National Championships and set 4 school records. The swimming and diving team finished its best season ever, with the men placing 6th and the women 7th at the NAIA Championships. Freshman Christine Tixier set an NAIA record in the 100 butterfly. A highlight for baseball was Coach John Verhoeven's recently earned 500th victory at Biola, accomplished in just 15 seasons at the helm. Men's and women's basketball enjoyed remarkable seasons this year, with the men winning their first ever GSAC tournament championship. At the time of this filming, both our men's and women's teams are on the road in the second round at Nationals, and we certainly wish them the very best. So those are just a few of the many significant things God is doing at this university. So thank you for watching, for your support, for your prayers, and for the valuable role you play within the Biola community.